but what did you think about your team's performance tonight?
It was somewhat to be expected, in that we really talked about being defensively solid. And I think early on we certainly avoided a few scares, but I thought we were pretty cohesive defensively. Where I thought we fell down early in the game was just our decisions with the ball, which led to a lot of defending. Turnovers and that sort of thing led to a lot of defending, but I thought they fought incredibly hard in the first half. And then in the second half, or at halftime, we talked about a few different ideas with the ball. And I thought in the second half, we created a couple of decent chances, couple of decent half chances. I'm thinking about the one that Spicer put across the face of the goal as a really good attack. And we had a few of those. But then disappointing to give up the goal on a penalty kick. And then I think a little feeling of desperation left us a little bit open toward the end. So certainly disappointing, but there are positives I can take out of it. There are positives that the team can take out of it. That I really thought that while we were trying to sort ourselves out, it was the first time we played against a back four with a back five. And I thought we had to make some decisions on the run in the first half. And I thought as the game went on, we grew into it defensively. But then the offensive side of it, I thought we saw some decent sparks in the second half, but it still feels like growing pains.
Did you get a chance to watch a replay of the penalty decision?
I haven't personally seen it.
So you can't really say.
No.
Okay.
No.
And then before I hand off to other people, how much, if at all, did the sort of absences, because there was, you had a lot of defensive sort of guys not available. How much were you hurting in terms of that maybe playing a hand in the result tonight?
I mean, I think having as many players out as we did means that there are guys coming in that haven't played as many minutes. And I just think a little bit of it was familiarity with each other. And having not played a ton of minutes, we're asking guys to really step up to league pace without playing a ton of minutes to this point. So I do think that had something to do with it. And I feel like the exact same group would be better next week.
Okay. We go on Zoom with Neil Davidson. Go ahead.
Hi, Robin. Thank you for taking the time. It seemed a bit cruel that Tyrese got called on that penalty. He had been growing into the game and had made some good runs. What did you think of his performance?
I was pretty pleased. I thought that for someone who is really naturally an attacking player, I thought defensively he did a good job and had to deal with some tough players. Oriana, for me, is an excellent player. And at times he had to deal with him. He had to deal with a lot of players. So I thought defensively he did pretty well, really well for the most part. And then I agree with you. He grew into the game. And in the second half, we saw even a little bit in the first half. But as the game went on in the second half, I thought he really produced some good moments for us. And I keep coming back to this ball that he played across for DeAndre. Excellent ball. I thought overall he was solid. Given yes, he played a few minutes against Orlando, but his first start this year, I thought he was pretty solid.
And with all the holes you had in the back line with the players not available, do you expect to get these injuries? Will some of them be back next week?
To be honest, Neil, I'm not 100% sure. I think there was a possibility. I think there's a possibility we could get a few guys back, but I think most of the situations are kind of day to day. So it's not like there's a clear timeline for them, but we have a chance to get a few guys back. Having said that, I thought Nick's, with virtually 0 minutes under his belt this year, was pretty solid for the most part, and he also grew into the game. Zane, for another week, I thought was pretty solid. Made some decent decisions with the ball, and his composure, I think, is pretty interesting for a young player in terms of his decisions defensively and decisions offensively. He shows a pretty good amount of composure for a young player, young center back.
We'll go next to James Grossi.
Thanks, Nick. Hey, Robin.
Hi, James.
I thought Sean made a couple of big saves for you guys tonight. I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on him. Is that just what you expect from a veteran presence like him?
I think Sean's been one of the best shot stoppers in the league for a number of years. Gosh, I don't know how many years Sean has played now, but I think that shot stopping has always been one of his strengths. And that's the nice thing about having an experienced athletic goalkeeper is that he will make some of those saves. As a center back, I was always bummed if my goalkeeper had to make good saves. So certainly, the more we talk about Sean, the less excited I am about how we defended. But I did think we were pretty solid, but that's why we have him. So in the moments where there are lapses that he bails us out, and he did quite a few times.
We'll go next to Thomas Karageorgis.
Thanks, Nick. Robin, you gave Ula Brynhilsen the start today. What did you think of his performance in the 45 minutes he had out there?
I thought he looked like an experienced player. He looked like an experienced player, knew how to use his body. Relentless running behind, which we didn't find him, nor did we use the space that was created when he made these runs in behind. But his running is extremely, extremely useful. And I know we didn't have much of the ball. It's hard for a forward to show, but you can tell by his movement and his intensity, offensively, defensively, he's an experienced player, and I think he's going to be very good for us.
We'll go next to Michael Leach.
Thanks, Nick. Robin, sort of a follow-up to Neil's question. You mentioned you liked Spicer's performance. What do you say to a young guy like that who, had a pretty good performance kind of overshadowed by one moment?
It's I don't think it's actually that difficult. I think you talk to him about the things that he did well. I haven't seen the penalty, so I can't really comment on that. But I do think overall his performance was positive. His mentality was good. Created some danger down the left side and defended hard against a number of good players. So I'll certainly address him during the week. And it's one of these things that things happen. Things happen. It wasn't like he made a stupid mistake and fouled someone out of just not thinking. It's one of these things that just happens, and you certainly play long enough, you know that you're going to have these things happen. I mean, I've been involved in own goals, I've been involved in penalties, and it's all part of it. You certainly don't like for it to happen, but it's all part of it.
And we'll go back to Neil for our final question.
We have one more here on the floor.
You can go ahead, Jim.
Go ahead, Neil.
Thank you. Robin, it's early days, 3 games in on the road. You've had injuries, players not fit, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. But what's your sort of gut feel so far?
I mean, I think the feeling is that you want to win every game. And if you lose one somewhere in the 34, you're still bummed. But I do realize that it's a new group to me and new coaching system to them, and that there are going to be growing pains. You couple that with some of the injuries and absences we've had, it just makes it doubly difficult. What I do like is the fact that this team works and they fight. And I really do believe that it'll come together because of their mentality. I think that's one of the really important things with any teams, that you have to have a mentality that you're willing to work and willing to fight, willing to support and work for each other. And from that standpoint, I'm proud of them. They've been working, they've been trying to apply everything that's being asked. And I just know that it'll come around, or certainly that's my feeling. So yes, we're not happy with where we are at the moment, but it's been a tough start, tough schedule. It is what it is, and we have to deal with it. So no crying over spilled milk, to be quite honest. We've obviously not gotten results in 2 of the 3 games we've played so far, but again, difficult conditions playing on the road, new group. I do have a lot of faith in what I'm finding out as the character of the group, and I think that will show up in the end.
And further to that, Robin, how glad are you to be able to go home now after starting like 3 games on the road? I mean, that's kind of a big test. And
Yeah.
you know,
It's tough, the years that I was here when we were doing construction on the stadium, we started similarly quite a few games on the road, and it's tough. It's a tough challenge. I know that I'm sure a lot of people think, well, it's not that difficult to go on the road, but the whole energy and feel is very different. And even as I look at our group tonight, we weren't fantastic with the ball. That the work that we put in to be pretty solid defensively, it's disappointing when they put in all that work and don't quite get the result for it. So I think everyone will be happy to be home. It's a different mindset. It's a different mindset for us. We're in front of our fans. It's a different mindset for the opposing team. And the answer to your question is very much looking forward to going back home.